Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. Today we have a map on Feast of Hades. It's quite a large map, and our contestants today we have Darth Revan, who is actually Xfactorlive. It seems that this season they have changed their name over to this instead. And then on the other side, in red, the one, the only Randy. Now we can see that this map wind fluctuates between 14 and 4 and currently on 10, but we do see a single solo from both players coming out here to help in this early game. X Factor is playing as Armada today and is starting off with the very typical bot lab. Now this is during season 2 now, so the ticks have been rebalanced a little bit, increasing their cost. So we'll see how that plays into everything now. And surprisingly, a huge thing, we never see this in anything, 1v1 or anything. Randy here starting off with Air Factory. Not only that, but also starting straight off with a Bomber Scout. This is a extremely aggressive open here, planning to get as much damage dealt very early on. And what we normally say is when we look at these maps, look how big the map is. X Factor would normally presume he's got, you know, at least a couple more minutes. He can get this other constructor out before needing to get a defensive unit to defend around here. But what's going to happen is the bombers are just going to come over and absolutely wipe all of this out. Now, it doesn't take long to build any anti-air, and we do see a radar going up as well. So the question is, when we look at the view here, when is X Factor gonna see this bomber? And here comes the scout. Red dot spotted. Enemy air spotted will be the notification he's just got. And here comes the rush to get a construction bot up. Not a construction bot, a AA turret rather. And already one metal extractor destroyed. Bomber looks like it's going for all of the expansion here, with the plan to just completely shut him down. And there we go, yet another metal extractor destroyed. Meanwhile, quickly looking over here, you can see that Randy here transitioned over to vehicles after this initial first bomber, and is now rushing to defend his own territory. He does have an LLT back there to defend. But there is an anti-air up now. He is trying to get that construction bot, but is not really able to pull much off of it. He has slowed down the expansion, especially from this triple point here. But we can see that it doesn't really matter because he's not been able to expand himself. And I don't think this bomber is going to get any more value. We can actually see it running away now as well. And now Andy is just trying to defend his hill. He is in a strong position here to defend a hill. This hill is quite well defendable. You just got to defend there, and you're pretty much fine. These are managing to get through, and Andy does have a radar. Yeah. The question is, how much is that going to put X Factor behind? Oh, accidental bomber there, causing some friendly fire. Now, some of you may have noticed on this right-hand side here, it briefly changed from what the beginning was. A commenter rightfully said that you could add metal excess into the spectator HUD here, rather than having to go into this statistics window. And so that's what we have just added. Now, incisors, bear in mind, have also been changed in this new rework. And that's going to be another tier 1 radar killed. And this pawn doing heck of work, managing to get all 3 metal extractors and all of the expansion that Randy had built has just been completely destroyed. So that early harass with the bomber hasn't really accomplished anything. It did slow him down a little bit. It made him invest into the crossbows and some anti-air in general, but the numbers don't lie. Look at the difference between metal produced here. Now, metal a second rather. Metal produced is technically advantage Randy at the moment, but that's only for a matter of time. These crossbows aren't great at dealing with the bombers. And this bomber, still alive, managing to get even more metal extractors. And he's just going around peppering spots where he would think there would be a metal extractor. And at the same time, in come the incisors. And the bomber's final bomb drop. He manages to get another metal extractor. Now these incisors are going to struggle to get up this hill. Not massively struggle, but enough for the pawns would have been able to catch up. And currently no LLTs or anything up here to defend this flank. And this is going to be a big economy hit now from Randy to Xfactor. Just sending these incisors everywhere. And Xfactor just rushing to get out as many res boxes as he can. But this is a problem now for Andy, as he's about to lose 2 construction vehicles. He wasn't really paying attention to his base, and surprisingly manages to keep 1 alive, purely because Xfactor's attention is elsewhere. But the pawns push through again. And Andy's really struggling. He just can't get out of his initial start position. Xfactor, kind of the same. He did manage to have all of this territory and then lost it. Now, incisors, if I remember correctly, in the Season 2 cost more now, but have, like, slightly more vision range, which, I mean, okay, I guess. They still trade okay, I guess, into pawns. There is a cost difference, and if Randy's not careful, he will keep pushing these into the bot player, and bots obviously have res bots, and you're just giving basically all of the units. You've gotta inflict some damage. Now, Xfactor is struggling with his attention at the moment. He does have a lot of stuff going on a lot of different locations, and Andy is just testing him in every spot possible. He's got attacks down the bottom here. He's done the bombers. He's got an attack now pushing in along the top. He's still got that 1 tank in that back corner. And we can see that Metal a Second currently switched over to Randy's favor here. But Metal Produced is still advantage Xfactor. For now, at least. For now. And as those incisors get surrounded, you can see them dropping very, very quickly. But not enough pawns. And that construction bot will get killed. And yet again, putting a delay on the expansion of X-Factor, splitting up his incisors now to hit 2 different locations. Commander will secure that side there, and this incisor will also die very quickly to the sheer amount of pawns there. Now, quickly to talk about this map, it's very hard to see, but these metal extractors here, and I'm trying to find them in the top corner and bottom left corner, are actually higher value metal points. Normally what you see is both players kind of vying for control of the top or bottom, and then kind of the middle becomes a no man's land. But in this game, I honestly don't really know what's happening, because both players are just struggling for control of their own base, let alone any like expansion into the middle. That early bombing run really kind of upset X-Factor here, and I feel like he's kind of struggling to get back on top of it. As yet again we see here 2 more incisors make their way into the base area of X-Factor, and the resbots are nearby, and more as well of Randy's incisors managed to break through again. Now, Randy obviously does need to be careful that he doesn't overcommit and just leave loads of resources for his opponent. Metal produced is still advantage X-Factor for now, at least. And the wall's actually just blocking. Ooh. Surprisingly, Andy here playing the hologram mode. We're seeing a lot of the pro players start doing that as of late. When your construction units are getting attacked, you pop down a bunch of holograms of things to try and block your opponent's shots. Kind of adding some sort of like active shield in essence to your constructors. Requires a lot of micro though. And Metal a second. X-Factor back in control. Having all 4, almost all 4 of his triple metal spots. Which, by the way, if we were talking about Andy's side, would go out to here. The 6 start positions, but X-Factor currently has like this section. Whereas Andy obviously is nowhere near that. And that is a side effect of his start position. With his base being up on this hill, it is harder for him to contest and control areas further away from his base. And the base incisor gets killed. Now the problem here is with the cost increase of incisors, there's going to be less and less incisors on the field to pawns. So as we saw with the match of Kitty versus Randy here, if you're able to split your opponent's forces over such a wide area, you can force them into some significant problems. And the armed metal extractor is no more. And on this left-hand side, all expansion delayed for even longer here. The right side is the most troubling though at the moment. With Randy having a severe number disadvantage. And just this wild constructor bot just driving its way in. That is a lot of reclaim to be left there as we select the construction vehicle there. 2k and just pure reclaim happening there right now as well. Not only that, but when we look at this other side here, almost a K of metal left. We saw there again, spamming out the shadows in order to get keep the radar alive, and it worked. Definitely probably see this trickle down as a skill that more and more people are going to start learning as time goes on. But Looking at expansion, we do see Andy has decided he's going to push in and actually capture one of the corner metal extractors rather than making his way over there. And that has given him a bit of a buff to his metal, at least with 2 3-point metal sights. The radar on this left side never got built though, so he doesn't really know what's going on behind this. And he desperately, desperately needs more forces. Maybe getting a couple of pounders in the mix here wouldn't be a bad thing, but we do see wasting metal now from Andy, as he's currently wasted 143 metal. Radar now does come up, but on the left side now, completely exposed as these 7 pawns climb over the hill and just completely decimate that construction vehicle. We do see on the minimap here, and Randy is trying to make a push in here, but there's just way too many numbers. Randy's just not able to really do a thing about it. Single LLT will slow down this attack here. And looks like with the forces manages to deflect. Now this is a big group of incisors. This could prove difficult for X-Factor to deal with. But splitting them up now gonna make their impact a little less strong. But the point is here just to do as much like distraction as he can. Get a little bit of economy damage, and it looks like he's just getting out of there. Commander is up on that high ground. Metal excess now of over 200 metal. Getting all the reclaim, but he's not really able to make use of it. This is very, very unlike Andy. Kind of surprised we're not seeing, with the amount of metal he's got, he could quite easily transition into Tech 2 there with that metal. He has pumped a lot of it into economy, a lot of it into build power. And as we look at build power, we can see they're now even. Incisors are really struggling to hold the front though, as Randy loses more and more ground. Still only pumping out incisors. And you could argue maybe this is the sign of the meta here. Like, with the new changes, incisors just can't hold up to pawns anymore. Pawns did get a fairly decent buff. Or it was more the fact that Brunt's got a significant nerf. That incisors were also slightly nerfed here. Now with shurikens coming out, this pawn only will not be able to last for much longer. And as we quickly look over the bases, we do see air being planned here. And X-Factor actually did have double bot lab for a brief period of time. But X-Factor's base doing a lot better than his opponent. Now, Randy must know that as soon as he's gone the shurikens, it's only going to be a matter of time until fighters come out and make those shurikens worthless. And as we look at this big fight taking place here, we see the shurikens attempt to come in, but there's already fighters. And the pawns still manage to get the job done, killing the construction vehicle and delaying any further expansion. But there is another one here ready already. And with 1.5k metal just there, raring to go. Slight misstep here, though, by Andy, moving all these incisors through the middle. Now, this group of incisors along the bottom also was just going to get mopped up fairly easily here. Randy's trying to push through, and he knows they're not going to get anywhere, so the self-destruct stops only 2 of them being able to be reclaimed. And that was kind of a mistake there. And as we select the construction vehicle, 1.1k metal ready to go. And surprisingly, we see construction, air construction aircraft. I was about to call them air construction bots. Wow, that was very volatile. I don't remember them being quite so volatile. Air superiority is definitely on Xfactor's side, as they just roam right over the top of the commander. The incisors have attempted to make a push here, but they ain't going to get anywhere. There's a beamer there. 2 beamers almost. And finally a transition over to brutes from Andy. Will this force the hand of Xfactor with a transition over to Fugs, or is it going to continue with the overwhelming tactics of just sheer quantity of pawns, and another construction vehicle gets completely destroyed? Now, I don't know if brutes were the right choice here. Levelers are the perfect counter to pawns and incisors with their impulse. Would be able to shut down any pushes, but they are very slow to get to where they're needed. Whereas brutes are a lot quicker. And as this force tries to make its way in, Andy's let it through again. And this could could do a lot of damage here, as this pawns managed to make it through. And we're going to see a chain of the eco here. Also, the windmills are also close, very close together. And an attempted slowing down there, using the holograms, trying to stop them moving, enabling his forces to catch up. But, yeah, a fair amount of damage. And even though Andy is in a fairly strong, defendable position, he just hasn't been able to lock it down at all. He's had numerous run-bys. But now, with the sheer large-scale quantity of brutes being pushed out, we'll see if he's able to solidify his position and maybe change the tide of this battle. All the numbers are blue and have been for quite a while now. And here come the gunships as well. There are some Lasher missile trucks, but air superiority is not on Randy's side at all. Plenty of air defense actually in the base should stop any kind of worries, but there are, as we zoom out here, see blue all over the map here, as all of the extra economy of Randy is being just peppered away. All the gunships in the middle get taken out. And that is a lot of extra economy being killed here. A very large amount of walls being built. We don't often see that, but still more incisors and pawns manage to make it round the back. They will just run into the range of this LLT and exploiter, which, with how damaged these forces are, it's not going to impact it too much. Now, brutes versus pawns are not going to do great, but with stouts mixed in, they will dominate. We see a big difference in game plan here. Multiple factories being built by Xfactor with 2 vehicle labs and a bot lab, as opposed to the just 1 vehicle lab from Andy, not including the air support lab there. Now, when it comes to army value, we do see that Randy does have advantage, but it's just the sheer quantity of units piling out here that makes it really difficult for Andy to deal with. As we look at both fights taking place now, we can see that just with the sheer quantity of pawns getting the flanking damage on these left side brutes, completely annihilating them. But that doesn't bother Andy as he's pushing in towards this middle point, trying to clear up finally a bit of the eco. making the most of the tanks that he has and applying as much pressure as he can. But with Janice's now on the field, almost insta-popping any incisors. Seems like it's forcing Andy back. He really wants to get this reclaim. He's already got a construction vehicle there with 3k worth of reclaim, but these Janices gonna cause a problem. He needs to take them out quickly. So that's exactly what he was doing. Instead, he just actually pushed right past them all. We can actually see as well that Andy has transitioned back to incisors. Purely because he just needs units out right now. Army value still somehow advantage Andy. But this single Janus that's just gotten around slightly pepper away at those construction vehicles, limiting what reclaim is going to be available. Also, defense is popping up fairly quickly. It's quite hard for Andy to hold this reclaim field, being this close to his opponent's base. Instead, splitting off some forces here to just try and get some damage done. Except Andy may have misclicked and forgot about them. For a brief second, losing to the incisors, and we'll lose both of those 2 units that are left as well. Mostly just these rocket trucks left, getting closed down on, getting killed very quickly. They are enough to shoot over the wrecks and kind of just pepper your opponent with damage, but we've now over 1,000 metal accessed by Andy. He really, really needs to look at spending that metal. As you look at the 2 opponents, we can see that Andy just has a severe lack of energy right now, and that is what is limiting him. Mostly because wind has dipped completely. And Xfactor just with such a commanding lead here. You can see metal produced, he's 10% ahead, almost 10k metal extra. It's actually probably more like, 7. And with, Andy accessing 1,000 of that metal as well. Now, this is the sort of location for a fight he wanted, close to his base. And a spectator did ping something. Tech 2, but not very nice. But yes, Xfactor accidentally getting his Tech 2 unit stuck. And now clearing a path for them. No Tech 2 yet from Andy, but oh, that's a lie. Tech 2 air out from Andy, and it looks like it's been out for a little while here, as we already have Tech 2 gunships. And will these gunships make a difference, though? That's the question. Focusing down the missile trucks here. Needs to focus the res bots, which he does do. But Andy doesn't have any fighters. Yeah. Just not enough ground vehicles. That transition over to air has definitely caused him problems. And now these guys have nothing to stop them. To be fair, right now would be shuriken time. You can see these construction vehicles actually here off the left, ready for the reclaim field. But managed to get spotted. And even more power there. Build power lost by Randy. Oh, but the flak The flak, as we've seen before, very strong. And these gunships will not last long versus flak. No tech to land being built, just more and more gunships. He can't really afford dragons. He doesn't really have the energy for it. And how many does he have at the moment? 4. Yeah, attempting to get a bit of raiding done, but without full air superiority, they're not going to really get that much done. And with that, Randy calls the GG. The early move was very good. It definitely kept X Factor back for a while, but so much micro was spent on that bomber that all the time that was doing it, he was just not able to expand it at all his own. Like, he was bombing the additional points of X Factor. I can't really show you. There we go, move this a bit. He was bombing like over here and like over here of X Factor, but he was still just in his starting triangle. Like, he hadn't moved out of his starting triangle at all. So kind of a bit of a disappointment there from Randy. I expected better of you. Don't let me down next time. But X Factor reigns supreme here. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you guys next time.